We're joined today by General Managers, Head Coach, and Defensive Coordinator Chris Jones, and by Assistant General Managers G.Y. Simon. We'll begin momentarily with a question and answer period. Please use the raise hand function to join the queue. Please limit yourself to one question and one follow-up. If you have other questions, please re-add yourself to the queue, and we'll come back to you later if we have time. Please note that today's media availability is being recorded. Should you require the recording, please notify CFL Communications, and we would be more than happy to assist. With that being said, we will open the room for questions. The first question is from Morley Scott. Please go ahead, Morley.
Thank you. Hey, guys, thanks for doing this. I guess first off, for Chris, talk about what you'll see this week and weight what you see at the Combine compared to what you've seen all year long from these guys on film.
Yeah, we've had a good opportunity to look at a lot of these guys ad nauseum. I mean, we've watched a ton of film, both at home and here, and again, it's a good group of guys. We look forward to seeing exactly who they are physically. We place a lot on the length and some of those kind of markers, and then of course their ability to vertical jump and broad jump are also two big parameters that we look at.
You talked last season that you thought this was going to be a pretty good crop for the draft this year. Has it turned out the way you thought it would? And I guess maybe talk about having 5 picks in the first 28, I think it is.
Yeah, you know what? Unfortunately, a lot of the guys that were in the upper level part of this draft have decided to go back to school. I guess there's probably at least 6 to 8 of them, maybe even 10, that have gone back to school for an extra year. So it has kind of pushed down the number of guys that are going to be available that would fit the needs of a CFL football team.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Morley. Next question is from Dave Campbell. Please go ahead, Dave.
Hey, gentlemen, thanks for doing this today.
You're welcome. What's up?
Hey, it's good. Yes, it's nice to see you guys again. I looked it up from last year because I forgot. I knew it was a pretty good handful of your crop from your 2022 class that actually got into the lineup. And I think I counted 5. That included Wesley Apollon, who only lasted 1 snap. Enoch Baconzo became a starter. Trey Ford, we got to see in some games here. And if it wasn't for some injuries, that number could have been up to 6 or 7. How important is it to get this right? I mean, sometimes the CFL draft is a little hard to understand maybe and translate compared to the NFL where, NFL draft or NBA where, maybe more guys can contribute in year 1. But how important is it to, within like a 3-year cycle, say, that you got to get this right?
Well, Canadian content's one of the number 1 parameters for a winning team. I mean, those across the board. When I first got in the league, I mean, that's what both Jim Pop and Don Matthews, that's what they said. They said, you got to have great Canadians, not good. When you walk up, you've got to have guys that you can't tell. You can't just pick out your Canadians. You got to have guys that are so athletic that you can't distinguish between them. And I think that's what our goal is. And unfortunately for us, we had, 2 young kids that had good camps that were going to be major contributors, and both got injured, and Cobb and Apollon last year. But I'm proud of the fact that, Dominique played significant special teams. Maconzo was the second leading tackler, but it was only by like a tackle. Hutter got him by, I think, 1, so he was a guy that played a major role. Trey won his first game in Hamilton as a quarterback, that's not an easy task. Unfortunately, he immediately got injured. So the injury bug last year really got us not only in our team, but in our draft class.
What do you make of the new format, the fact that you're going to put these prospects into more football-related drills?
Well, I'll let G-Roy talk because I've talked already. I'll let G-Roy kind of get on this.
Sure.
Well, I think the new format it's a great format because you not only get to see these guys physically as far as the testing numbers, but then you can see them in the classroom, you can see them on the field, how they're taking things from the classroom to the field. So that gives us a better indication of how they're going to translate as pros.
And the thing is, you're putting together a football team, not a track team. So you're going to see some guys that come in every year that that are, good testers. But then, unfortunately, when you get them in a football uniform, it doesn't necessarily translate. So it gives you an opportunity to do football-related things that you can kind of find out exactly who they are.
Okay, good stuff. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Right. See you.
Thank you, Dave. Next questions from Jerry Matajon. Please go ahead, Jerry.
Thanks. Hey, guys, building on top of that last conversation, there's quite a crop of U of A kids involved in this year's draft and up for grabs here. Does being local provide any sort of added bonus in your mind if it all comes down to it in the end?
Well, I mean, every opportunity that we have to try to bring in a local kid. I mean, you saw we made the trade last year with the O'Donnell young man that we're still waiting on with the NFL. We made that trade to try to get him, and then you saw that today we signed another U of A guy, and so we're trying to do our best to look at our local talent. Unfortunately, last year we had some guys targeted, but they got taken off the board before we were able to take them. So, and with that being said, we're going to take the best players that are available. But if there's a guy that fits what we need, then certainly that's going to be what we do.
But we've seen it before, Chris, and just building upon that again. But even if a local guy goes somewhere else, maybe his rookie contract comes up, you sometimes see those guys come back to their hometown. What advantage of that is in your mind at all?
Well, I mean, just like when we brought Court back last year, we brought him back to give him an opportunity to be here close to home, and his dad coaches over here, So anytime you can have a guy that wants to move back, wants to be part, and that they probably, grew up a fan of the team that's local. So that I do think that gives you a little bit of an advantage.
Thanks, guys.
I'm not answering.
Thank you, Jerry. We have no more questions lined up. So if anyone has one last question, please use the raise hand feature right now. Oh, this question's from Frank. Please go ahead, Frank.
Hello, gentlemen. How you doing? G-Roy, this is a question for you. How helpful is it to do something like this and expand your experience, in the progress that you're making as football management?
I think this is the next step for me and what I want to ultimately accomplish down the road. I started as a player and wanted to succeed at that, and got into scouting and personnel, and Chris has given me a great opportunity to learn and experience all the things that's needed to take the next step in my career. But right now I think it's going great. I'm really learning a lot from the organization and Chris. And I'm just thankful for the position that I'm in, that I get the opportunity to learn and help build a team.
Thank you for doing that. And thank you for doing this, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Next question is from John Hodge. Please go ahead, John.
Thanks for doing this, gentlemen. Jamin Pelly, who you got selected for the supplemental choice. Sorry, is that on my? Is this better now?
We didn't hear you.
Okay, sorry, I have no idea what happened. Hopefully the audio is good now. Jamin Pelly, who you guys drafted with a supplemental choice last year, is reportedly in this year's NFL draft. I'm curious if you can provide an update on his status and if you have any indication as to whether or not he'll be down south this season.
Well, we signed him to, a contract this year. And so he's under contract. Whether somebody takes him in this year's draft would be inconsequential, but it'll be interesting because I know a lot of NFL teams, and G-Roy can tell you, we've had a lot of phone calls about him.
I know that players are required to sign with the NFL through the window that closed in February. So is it possible that if by some chance he was a late round pick in the NFL, that he would be in the NFL next season, or would he have to wait for 2024 for that to be the case?
No, he would have to wait till the following season.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Next question is from Dave Naylor. Please go ahead, Dave.
You're on mute.
Okay. Hey guys, sorry, John Hodge, that feedback loop was me. I'm so into this call. I had it both on my Zoom on my computer and my phone, and they were looping through each other there. I am now just computer. Guys, and Chris, this is kind of you, but G-War, you can chime on this one. Back in January, when we were chatting at the league meetings, we talked about you kind of changing the target for a lot of your off-season recruiting, and trying to find the freak from Division II or the Mountain West rather than the guy who was a backup at Ohio State or something like that. That was kind of what you were presenting as your blueprint. What has the experience been? I noticed you signed a D2 quarterback yesterday, so I guess this is bringing some fruit. But just kind of take us through the different strategy of player recruitment this year and what you've learned along the way, maybe.
Well, I mean, this is kind of my philosophy, whether other people in the league line up to it or not. But those kids are getting NIL deals now at the Division I level at 100 and 150,000 or more. I mean, the little quarterback in Tennessee is making $1 million this year as a freshman. So I mean, the odds of getting that guy right now, especially when the agents are spending $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in training, the agents have no interest in that young man coming to the Canadian Football League. So that's kind of where my philosophies come from. I've got to have help right now. We've got to put together a team right now of players that are coming out of this year's class that can come up and compete in camp. And so that'll be made up of former NFL guys that have gone through the draft process already, and then guys from smaller schools, i.e. the quarterback from Valdosta that had a very good pro day a couple of days ago.
It's funny, I hadn't thought that much about we've talked a lot about the other leagues, and the competition. What I hadn't heard that much about is what you just mentioned, like NIL. And obviously that just started. Some of the kids that are started in NIL haven't even come out of school yet. I mean, are you anticipating that, when a kid comes out of school and he's made $500,000 to $1.5 million during his 4 years in school, that's going to make it even tougher when you put that $75,000 Canadian contract in front of him?
It's absolutely going to make it harder. And in my home state of Tennessee, they've now allowed high school kids to have NIL deals. So there can be a 16, 15-year-old that's going to be able to make NIL money.
Wow. Great. Not great, but thanks. A great answer. Thanks. I really appreciate that. Learned something.
No doubt.
Thank you, Dave. Next question is from Derek Taylor. Please go ahead, Derek.
Coach, you talked about Jamin Pelly a bit. What's his football potential, do you believe?
Well, I mean, there's tremendous potential there. If he makes as many strides as he did from last year during his pro day to where he ended up at the end of the year last year, if he makes that many strides between now where he's at as a football player, percentage wise, he's going to be able to essentially do what he wants to do. I mean, people know who he is. There's plenty of people down south that know who he is. He's a rare physical talent that has more athleticism than what people realize for a guy that's 350, 360 pounds at times, so I think he's down to about 335 or so. When he got to camp last year, we pretty much put him on the offensive side of the ball, and he only practiced for about an hour and 15 minutes a day to try to kind of manage the weight situation until we could get his weight down to where he could compete at a high level. And then I started a slow rotation with him and Mac Henry to develop the kid into where he became there at the end of the year. He was a force at times for us, and certainly we have to make sure that he's properly motivated, but if he does, sky's the limit.
And just one other guy on your defensive line, AC Leonard might have been one of my favorite signings across the CFL. What can he be for your defense?
Well, I mean, you've seen in the past how dynamic he can be. He's got to stay healthy. Number one, he's coming off of a nerve situation. Supposedly he's, in the 7th month, 8th month, with another couple of months to be able to recover from that. If he recovers and is able to mimic what he's done, in the past years, he's certainly a guy that can pressure the quarterback. He can be a very versatile player in what we do.
Thank you so much.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Derek. Unfortunately, we won't be able to do the last two questions. So thank you, Chris. Thank you, G-Roy. Next up, the BC Lions.
Sorry, G.
If you want to contact us by email me at candidfrank@hotmail.com. Watch us and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Candid Frank Stanishi 1030, or message me on Facebook at Candid Frank Stanishi for any ideas or comments you have about the program. Thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time.